Let's now make box plots and modified box plots on our TI graphing calculators. So first thing to do is make sure you have a list of data. I already do have a list of data in there. I'm going to now head into my stat plot, second y equals. I'm going to make sure my first plot is on. The others are currently off. I'm not plotting more than one thing at once. And here we go. I've got the types now, depending on how old your calculator is, you may want to get to the second row. It's important to know you have to use your over key to get there. If you press up and down, it's not going to work. So your right and left keys are what get you down to the box plots. I'm going to recommend that you always choose the one with the dots. That's the modified box plot, which will automatically plot outliers as separate from the rest of the plot. If you choose this one beside it, it doesn't care about outliers. It's just going to make a box plot to the maximum or the minimum regardless. So I recommend always using the one with the dots. For what we do, you'll have a data list, just leave your frequency as 1. And then for mark, this is just saying when there's an outlier, what shape do you want me to put there? There's a box, there's a little cross, and then there's a dot. I recommend either the box or the cross just because the dots are a little harder to see. I like boxes myself, so I'm going to leave it there. To get the window, I recommend just doing a zoom 9, and there you go. Now, my data set did not have any outliers. Just to see what happens, I'm going to go back now into the data set and add an outlier. So in this data set, my highest number is 70. I'm going to put in a high outlier at like 100. So I'm going to go down to the last line. I'm just adding a bit of data. So now my data set will have an outlier on the high end. Let's see how it looks. Redo my zoom 9. And now I can see, all right, so I'm hit trace. I got my minimum, lower quartile, median, upper quartile. Now this isn't the maximum of the data set anymore. This is the highest data value that is not an outlier. The maximum of the data set is this outlier up here at 100. Sometimes your data set's going to have 2 or 3 outliers. Sometimes there may be outliers on both ends. Important to know, the minimum and the maximum are always the very lowest and the very highest. So here, the end of the whisker on this box plot is just the highest value that's not an outlier. The nice thing about box plots is it's very easy to plot more than one at a time. So just for practice, I'm going to go now into plot 2, turn it on, but I'm going to now use just the regular box plot and plot the same data. Zoom 9, oops. So sometimes, again, depending how your calculator is set up, if you just move your cursor, so I need to get out of that. If you just have your cursor here, it thinks you're going to be typing in a letter. So if I press zoom, it actually brings up a function menu. It's kind of an annoying thing. So let me do this. See how it has that little A there? Either just move your cursor out of there or press the alpha key to turn it off. Either way. Now do your zoom 9. And you can see the difference. This is the same data set. The top box plot automatically shows the outlier. The bottom, the regular box plot, just doesn't. So, I don't know. I think this one's probably better almost all the time. That's why I use the modified version. And there you go. That's box plots. Make sure you choose the modified unless you specifically don't want it. That way you can easily identify your outliers.